24. 1 Co 1. 30-21. 23-26 All men subject to the same eventuality. All are the same in death EC 9. 2, 3-24. 3-12 Affliction by wicked. Christians so treated 2 Co 6. 4-10. 11. 24-27-24. 13-17 Wicked love darkness rather than light. Light terrifies them Joe 3. 19-26. 6 All things are exposed before the eyes of Jehovah Heb 4. 13-27. 8-10 Apostate one will not genuinely call on God nor be heard by him Heb 6. 4-6, 27. 12 Those seeing visions of own heart, not from God, utter vain things J 23. 16, 27. 16, 17 The righteous will inherit the wealth amassed by the wicked 6. 10, 11. PR 13. 22 Chap 28 Man cannot find the true wisdom from book of divine creation, only from God and fear of whom EC 12. 13. 1 Co 2. 11-16, 30. 1, 2, 8, 12 Worthless, senseless idlers are used to persecute God's servants like 17. 5, 32. 22 Bestowing unscriptural titles is wrong Mount 23. 8-12, 34. 14, 15 Life of all flesh is in Jehovah's hand PS 104. 29, 30. Issa 64. 8. Acts 17. 25, 28, 34. 19 Jehovah is not partial Act 10. 34, 34. 24, 25 Jehovah takes down, sets up rulers as he wills Da 2. 21. 4. 25, 36. 24. 40. 8 Declaring of God's righteousness O text to acute miritra longo. Job 84 therefore strongly drives home the wrongness of attempting to justify oneself before God. Job 40. 8. Authenticity and value. Ezekiel refers to Job, and James makes mention of him. As 14. 14, 20. Just 5. 11 Arguing powerfully for the book's canonicity is the fact that the Jews accepted it as of equal authority with the other inspired books of the Hebrew Scriptures, even though Job was not an Israelite. Perhaps the strongest evidence of the book's genuineness exists in its harmony with the rest of the Bible. It also reveals much about the beliefs and customs of patriarchal society. More than that, it greatly helps the Bible student to get a better understanding of Jehovah's purposes through a comparison with other Bible statements. There are a remarkable number of points that are parallel in thought with other Bible passages, and some of these are listed on the accompanying chart. Jobab 1. The descendant of Shem through Joktan. GE 10. 21, 25, 29. 1 Ch 1. 23 The exact region settled by the offspring of Jobab is not known today. 2. Son of Zerah from Bozrah. An Edomite monarch who reigned sometime before Saul ruled as Israel's first king. Jobab succeeded Bela the son of Beer to the throne. GE 36. 31-34. 1 Ch 1. 43-45. 3. King of Madon, a city in northern Palestine. Jobab and other monarchs joined Jabin the king of Hazor in an offensive against the Israelites, but suffered defeat at the waters of Merom. Jos 11. 1-8. 12. 19. 4. Son of the Benjamite Shaharaim by his wife Hodesh. 1 Ch 8. 1, 8, 9. 5. The descendant of the Benjamite Shaharaim through Elpal. 1 Ch 8. 1, 8, 11, 18. Jocheb Jochi middle.bed possibly, Jehovah is glory. A daughter of Levi, who married Amram of the same tribe, and became the mother of Miriam, Aaron, and Moses. X 6. 20. New 26. 59 Jochebed was a woman of faith. She trusted in her God Jehovah. In defiance of Pharaoh's decree, she refused to kill her baby, later named Moses, and after 3 months, when he could no longer be concealed in the house, she placed him in an ark of papyrus and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. Pharaoh's daughter found the baby and claimed him for herself, but, as it worked out, Moses' own mother was asked to nurse him. As the child grew, Jochebed, together with her husband, was very diligent to teach her children the principles of pure worship, as is reflected in their later lives. X2 1-10. According to the Masoretic text, Jochebed was the sister of Amram's father Kohath. That is to say, Amram married his aunt, which was not unlawful at the time. X6 18-20. However, some scholars believe that Jochebed was Amram's cousin rather than his aunt, for the Greek Septuagint so reads, conveying the same idea as the Syriac Peshitta and Jewish traditions. For example, Exodus 6:20 reads in part, Jochebed the daughter of his father's brother. LXX, Bagster Amram took his uncle's daughter Jochebed. But when Amram married he took his cousin Jochebed. If an Amram married a kinswoman of his called Jochebed. KX a footnote of Rotherham on the expression his father's sister says. Probably merely a female member of his father's family. Thomas Scott in his explanatory notes 1832 says, according to the Septuagint and the Jewish traditions, Jochebed was cousin, not aunt to Amram. The best critics suppose that Jochebed was the cousin german of Amram, and not his aunt. Clark's commentary, Numbers 26:59 says Jochebed was Levi's daughter. It could mean granddaughter, as in so many other places in the scriptures where son is used to denote a grandson. In his translation, F. Fenton comments that the expression born to Levi in this same verse, in the Hebrew idiom of language, does not mean to Levi personally, but simply a descendant of the tribe. The length of time makes it impossible for her to have been Levi's personal child. If, on the other hand, the Masoretic text is correct at o textoi acute miritra longo, Joel, Book of 85:4. A headman of the Gadites living in Bashan. 1 Ch 5. 11, 12. 5. The firstborn son of the prophet Samuel. The descendant of No. 2 and father of Heman the Levitical singer. 1 Ch 6. 28, 33, 36. 15. 17. Joel and his younger brother Abijah had been appointed by their father to be judges, but their dishonesty in office gave the people an excuse to ask for a human king. 1 So 8. 1-5. At 1 Chronicles 6:28 the Masoretic text and certain translations says Vashni was Samuel's firstborn. Scholars, however, generally agree that Joel was in the original Hebrew, a reading retained by the Syriac Peshitta and the Lagadian edition of the Greek Septuagint. Compare 1 So 8. 2. Similarity between Joel and the ending of a preceding word in the text Samuel possibly caused a scribe inadvertently to drop the name Joel altogether. Seemingly, he then mistook the Hebrew word #she-ni meaning and the second son for the proper name Vashni and inserted the letter Warren before the name Abijah. 6. One of David's mighty men. Brother of Nathan. 1 Ch 11. 26, 38. 7. A Gershonite Levite of the house of Ladan. Son of Jehieli. 1 Ch 23. 7. 8. Joel the chief and 130 of his brothers sanctified themselves and helped bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. 1 Ch 15. 4, 7, 11-14. Joel and his brother Zephon were later appointed as overseers of the sanctuary treasures. 1 Ch 26. 21, 22. 8. A prince, during David's reign, of that part of Manasseh W of the Jordan. Son of Pedaiah. 1 Ch 27. 20-22. 9. A prophet of Jehovah and writer of the Bible book bearing his name. He was the son of Pethuel. Jo 1. 1. See Joel, Book of 10. A Kohathite Levite. Son of Azariah. In the first year of Hezekiah, Joel helped take the unclean objects removed from the temple by the priests to the Kidron Valley for disposal. 2 Ch 29. 1, 3, 12, 15, 16. 11. One of several Simeonite chieftains who, in Hezekiah's day, took by force the land of certain Hamites and the Munim to expand their pasturage. 1 Ch 4. 24, 35, 38-41. 12. One of the sons of Nebo who dismissed their foreign wives and sons in Ezra's day. Ez 10. 43, 44. 13. An overseer of those Benjamites living in Jerusalem during Nehemiah's governorship. Son of Zitri. Ne 11. 4, 7-9. Joel, Book of. An inspired book of the Hebrew Scriptures written by Joel the son of Pethuel. Jo 1. Virtually nothing is known about this prophet's life. From his references to Judah, Jerusalem, and Jehovah's house there, it may be inferred that he prophesied in Judah and perhaps resided in Jerusalem. 1. 9, 14. 2. 17, 32. 3. 1, 2, 16-20. The fact that he mentioned the lower plain of Jehoshaphat 3. 2, 12 implies that he wrote his book after Jehovah's great victory on behalf of King Jehoshaphat. But the exact period involved is in question. Time of writing. Scholars variously assign the book of Joel dates from before 800 BCE to about 400 BCE regarding their arguments in favor of a late or an early composition for the book. The International Standard Bible Encyclopedia edited by James Orr, 1960, Volume 3, p. 1690 observes. Many of the arguments adduced are of a negative kind, that is consideration of what the prophet does not mention or refer to, including the Chaldeans, the Assyrians, the Judean king, and the 10-tribe kingdom, and the argument from silence is notoriously precarious. Similarly, whether Joel quoted other prophets or was quoted by them cannot be established with certainty. A date after the Babylonian exile would be indicated if Joel 2:32 quoted Obadiah 17. On the other hand, not only Obadiah, but even the much earlier prophet Amos compare Joel 3:16 with and 1:2 may have quoted from Joel. This would mean that Joel wrote his book no later than the time of Uzziah 1:1, perhaps about 820 BCE, though not conclusive. The place occupied by the book of Joel in the Hebrew canon between Hosea and Amos seems to favor the earlier O textoi acute miritra longo, Joel 86. Joel's prophecy. Jo 2:28-32. Act 2:17-21. Later, the Apostle Paul applied the prophetic words found at Joel 2:32 to both Jews and non-Jews who call upon Jehovah in faith. Ro 10. 12, 13. Joel Jamidal. One of the warriors who came to David at Ziklag, son of Jeroham of Gedor. 1 Ch 12. 1, 7. Joseph Jamidal. Jehovah is help. One of the warriors who joined David at Ziklag when he was still under restrictions due to Saul. Icarite. 1 Ch 12. 1, 2, 6. Jogbihar. One of the fortified cities with stone flock pens that were built or rebuilt by the Gadites before their crossing the Jordan to assist in the conquest of Canaan. New 32. 34-36. At a later period, Judge Gideon's forces passed Jogbihar prior to their surprise attack on the Midianite camp at Karka. JG 8. 10, 11. Jogbihar is identified with El Jubaiyat, situated about 1,050 meters, 3,440 feet above sea level, and some 10 kilometers 6 mi NW of modern Amenraba. Jogli may Jehovah uncover veil. Adonai, whose son Buki was chieftain of the tribe of Dan for dividing up the land of Canaan. New 34. 18, 22, 29. Johah, shortened form of Johanan, meaning Jehovah has shown favor. Jehovah has been gracious. 1. One of David's mighty men. A Tizite. 1 Ch 11. 26, 45. 2. Head of a Benjamite family in Jerusalem. Son or descendant of Beri. 1 Ch 8. 1, 16, 28. Johanan Hanan shortened form of Johanan, meaning Jehovah has shown favor. Jehovah has been gracious. The English name John stems from this Hebrew name. 1. An ambidextrous, mighty Benjamite, one of the skilled warriors who joined David at Ziklag. 1 Ch 12. 1-4. 2. A Gadite officer, one of 11 exceptional fighters who came to David's side in the wilderness. 1 Ch 12. 8, 12-15. 3. A high priest. It was likely his son Azariah who was high priest when King Uzziah acted presumptuously. 1 Ch 6. 9, 10. 2 Ch 26. 19, 20. 4. Firstborn son of King Josiah. 1 Ch 3. 15. Since he is nowhere mentioned in connection with succession to the throne of Judah, as are his 3 younger brothers, he must have died before his father's death. 2 Chi 23. 30, 34. 24. 17. Ch 22. 11. See Josiah number 1. 5. One of the chiefs of the military forces remaining in Judah after the general deportation to Babylon in the summer of 607 BCE, this son of Korah readily supported the appointment of Gedaliah and, on learning of Ishmael's plot to assassinate the governor, asked Gedaliah for permission to kill Ishmael secretly but was denied it. Ch 40. 7, 8, 13-16. Gedaliah was assassinated, Johanan led the forces to avenge him, and persons whom Ishmael had taken captive were recovered. A vivid prophecy emphasizing Jehovah's vengeance and his mercy, written possibly about 820 BCE, 9 years after Uzziah became king, and about a century after Jehovah's great victory over Moab, Ammon, and the inhabitants of Seir in the days of Jehoshaphat locust invasion to strip the land. The day of Jehovah is near. 1. 2. 11. The coming plague will be talked about for generations. The vegetation of the land will be stripped so that grain and drink offerings will cease at Jehovah's house. Priests are told to mourn and cry to Jehovah for help. Jehovah's day is marked by a destructive invasion of his military force. Israel invited to return to Jehovah. His spirit to be poured out to. 12-32. The inhabitants of Zion are invited to come back to Jehovah. He will restore their prosperity and protect them from the northern. Jehovah will pour out his spirit on his people, and he will give portents in the heavens and on earth before his great and fear-inspiring day. Those calling on Jehovah's name will escape during his great day. The nations will be judged in the lower plain of Jehoshaphat. 3. 1-21. The nations will be judged for mistreating God's people. They are challenged to prepare themselves for war against Otextoi acute Muritra Longo. John 87. But the assassin himself escaped to Ammon. Ch 41. 11-16. Fearing reprisals from the Babylonians, Johanan and the others asked the prophet Jeremiah what they should do, but, rather than follow Jehovah's advice to remain in the land, they fled to Egypt, taking Jeremiah with them. Ch 42. 1. 43. 7. 2 Chi 25. 23-26. 6. Son of Hakatan and head of the 110 males of the paternal house of Azgad, who returned with him to Jerusalem, accompanying Ezra in 468 BCE. Ezrate. 1, 12. 7. Grandson of Eliashib, the high priest contemporary with Nehemiah. His being called Jonathan in Nehemiah 12. 11 is probably due to a scribal error, as the names Johanan and Jonathan are very similar in Hebrew. Johanan is mentioned in Nehemiah 12. 22, 23 and in a letter found among the Elephantine papyri, where he is addressed as high priest. Jewish Antiquities, by F. Josephus, 11, 297 7, 1. 8. Son of Elione. Johanan appears in a list of the house of David that includes Zerubbabel and his descendants. 1 Ch 3. 1, 10, 19, 24. John English equivalent of Johanan, meaning Jehovah has shown favor. Jehovah has been gracious. 1. John the Baptizer, son of Zechariah and Elizabeth. The forerunner of Jesus. Both of John's parents were of the priestly house of Aaron. Zechariah was a priest of the division of Abijah. Luke 1. 5, 6. Miraculous birth. In the year 3 BCE, during the assigned time of service of the division of Abijah, it became Zechariah's turn to enjoy the rare privilege of offering incense in the sanctuary. As he stood before the altar of incense, the angel Gabriel appeared with the announcement that he would have a son, who was to be called John. This son would be a lifetime Nazirite, as Samson had been. He was to be great before Jehovah, to go before him to get ready for Jehovah a prepared people. John's birth would be by a miracle of God, since Zechariah and Elizabeth were both of advanced age. Luke 1. 7-17. When Elizabeth was 6 months pregnant, she was visited by her relative Mary, then pregnant by Holy Spirit. As soon as she heard her relative's greeting, Elizabeth's unborn child leapt in her womb, and filled with Holy Spirit, she acknowledged that the child to be born to Mary would be her Lord. Luke 1. 26, 36, 39-45. At the birth of Elizabeth's child, the neighbors and relatives wanted to call it by its father's name, but Elizabeth said, "No, indeed. But he shall be called John." Then its father was asked what he wanted the child to be called. As the angel had said, Zechariah had been unable to speak from the time of Gabriel's announcement to him, so he wrote on a tablet, "John is its name." Then Zechariah's mouth was opened so that he began to speak. At this all recognized that the hand of Jehovah was with the child. Luke 1. 18-20, 57-66. Beginning of his ministry. John spent the early years of his life in the hill country of Judea, where his parents lived. He went on growing and getting strong in spirit, and he continued in the deserts until the day of showing himself openly to Israel. Luke 1. 39, 80. According to Luke, John began his ministry in the 15th year of the reign of Tiberius Caesar. John would have been then about 30 years old. Though there is no record that John engaged in priestly service at the temple, this was the age for priests to enter into full duty. New 4. 2, 3. Augustus died on August the 17th, 14 CE, and Tiberius was named emperor by the Roman Senate on September the 15th. Thus his 15th year would run from the latter part of 28 CE to August or September of 29 CE, since Jesus also at the age of about 30 presented himself for baptism in the autumn. John, 6 months older, must have begun his ministry in the spring of 29 CE. Luke 3. 1-3, 23. John began his preaching in the wilderness of Judea, saying, "Repent, for the kingdom of the heavens has drawn near." Mount 3. 1, 2. He wore clothing of camel hair and a leather girdle around his loins, similar to the dress of Otextoi acute Miritra Longo. John 88 vipers, and pointing out that their reliance on fleshly descent from Abraham was of no value. Mount 3. 7-12. John taught those coming to him that they should share things and not commit extortion, that they should be satisfied with their provisions and harass no one. Luke 3. 10-14. He also taught his baptized followers how to pray to God. Luke 11. When at this time the people were in expectation, and all were reasoning in their hearts about John. May he perhaps be the Christ? John denied that he was, and declared that the one to follow him would be far greater. Luke 3. 15-17. When priests and Levites came to him in Bethany across the Jordan, they asked if he was Elijah or if he was the prophet, and he confessed that he was not. Job 1. 19-28. John performed no miracles, as his Elijah. Job 10. 40-42, yet he came with the spirit and power of Elijah. He performed a powerful work in turning the hearts of fathers to children and the disobedient ones to the practical wisdom of righteous ones. He fulfilled the purpose for which he had been sent, to get ready for Jehovah a prepared people.